Today I'm going to be showing you how to do cinematic color grading 2.0 in Adobe Premiere. Dope. What's up everybody, my name is Danny Matthews. Today we're going to be talking about cinematic color grading in Adobe Premiere, and I'm going to do it a little bit different than the first video. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out right now while you're at it. And let's jump into Adobe Premiere. Side note, if you're wondering why I have a robe on, I will tell you guys that toward the end of the video, so stick around for that story. Alright, welcome to Adobe Premiere. If you guys are not already in the color grading section, come over here to your top right tab where it says workspace and come over here to color. Really quick, I got my lumiscopes on the left, middle is going to be our preview. On the right, we have all the tools to correct and color grade with. So here's our clip of two couples getting married, one couple getting married I should say, and this is going to be our base layer here. Alright guys, if you want to know how to do some basic correction, go ahead and check out this video here. This doesn't actually need any basic correction because it's already good to go and it's already at a place that it needs to be for the cinematic color grading. So this is going to be a little bit different from what we did in the first video. Like I said in the beginning, this is a 2.0 version of it. We have different things that we can do to make this pop cinematically, and it's all just a different workflow and it gives different abilities to do different things. So first things first, what we want to do is just kind of bring some contrast in here, and what we're going to do is go ahead and just use our curves right here, and we're going to go ahead and pull down the shadows until we like it where we have it here. And over here in our shadows, it's going to be more, we can see that this green is signifying more of what's going on back here, and we can go ahead and just see that we want it down by around 50 to 40 in the cinematic range here, and go ahead and pull up on this highlight, and you can see that we have some nice contrast going on in here. And what I usually like to do is stay on this grid pattern, that way you have more of a reference, and it actually tends to be kind of a more better frame of reference to pull your line on. So once we kind of get to a place that we like it here, next what we're going to do is go ahead and just make sure that our skin tone is in the right exposure. Now in here, what we're going to do is go ahead and use our opacity, and what we're going to do is go ahead and draw a mask around his skin because his skin is pretty much the same as everyone else's. So go ahead and grab the highlights and the shadows. This is pretty even light, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab a more evenly lit spot here, and so we can see that our skin tone is actually sitting on the 60 mark, and that's not where we want it to be. We want our skin tone to be around 70. Highlights are going to be a little bit more pushing towards 75, and shadows are going to be pushing down lower depending on where you want it. You can have as far down as 40 or 30%, but for a perfect cinematic grade, we want it just below 70, maybe hitting 60. So we're going to go ahead and actually raise our whites here by bringing this up until we get it to 70, and we have that right at 70%. And what we're going to do is go ahead and pull off our mask just by hitting the FX button, and we can see that we have a lot difference going on in here. So go ahead and toggle this basic correction on and off, and we can see that our skin tones are beautiful. So we're actually gonna go ahead and put this back on, that way we can see what we're looking at again, and we see that we have this skin tone going into our reds, and we know that skin tone lies on the orange line right here. This is our beautiful line right here. This is what we want to be on here. So you can go ahead and experiment a little bit with this, and this is where it's going to be a little bit different from the first video that I created about cinematic color grading. And what we're going to do is actually come in here and turn off this mask, and we're going to come down here to our HSL secondary color, and what we're going to do is go ahead and select a color by hitting on this plus button, and we can go ahead and just hold it down and move over the skin tone that we want to select. And then right here it says color gray. Go ahead and select that, and we can see all that we have selected here. So now this is definitely not all the skin tone that we want to have selected, so we can go ahead and actually refine that by hitting either this, we can go ahead and hit plus again and pull in the skin tone that we want, or adjust these bars. I'm going to go ahead and hit plus on this and go ahead and pull in the skin tone that I want from her arm that is lacking extremely. Alright, so you can see that this is selecting a very wide range of colors, and we're gonna actually go ahead and narrow this down because I don't know why it has so much blue selected here. So go ahead and just kind of narrow this down, and we can kind of consolidate where all the skin tones lie, which is magenta, red, yellow, and orange. It's in that like frame here. So definitely like a red to orange is the most common. Some people's skin tones kind of veer off to the yellow or veer off to the magenta. So here is where the actual saturation is. So you can go ahead and adjust this to what saturation you like, and I'm actually going to pull this up just a little bit so we get rid of any kind of random little twigs or whatnot of the dress. And then also in here is the light. The luma is going to be the L, and that's going to be how bright or how dark something is. So obviously the left is dark, the right is bright, which you can see in the color here. So go ahead and just adjust this until you get the colors that you need. So we will start getting hair that's brown if you start going a little bit darker, and we can see that we have a bunch of leaves back here and branches, and that's totally cool because it will actually kind of help with the overall picture here. So go ahead and check off of the orange. And then what we're going to do next is go ahead and actually mess around with these colors here. And again, what we're going to do is actually come in here and turn on our mask, and we can go ahead and actually start pushing in orange. So once we start pushing in some orange, we can see over here on the left of where our scope is. We're getting this more on the orange now, on the orange line that we need to have. And we can go ahead and just keep pushing that until we get it to right over the line, which is perfect. So when we go ahead and take off our mask, we can see that we have adjusted all of the skin tone that we've selected. So if we go ahead and turn off the HSL secondary, you can see that there's a slight difference in his skin tone, but it makes a major difference in all of their skin tones here. So you can see if we turn it off, we have this magenta pushing over here. You can really see it in their cheeks and a little bit in her arm right here, and just a little bit right here by her necklace. So once we turn it on, you can see that these skin tones are just pushing to a beautiful orange that we need to have. And again, these are super subtle things, but it goes such a far way, and it's super important because if the skin tones are not right, this is not going to be a cinematic image. It is going to be noticed by people, and they will not know why it's off, but they will know that it's not right. So just make sure that the skin tones are lying on the 70, and we have this orange line here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and actually add another layer on top of this, which we're going to add in just a little bit of contrast, which is your teal and orange that most people have. Here we have a very orange background and green. So you're probably wondering, how on earth are we going to do that? So go ahead and come in here to your adjustment color and adjustment layer, hit OK, and go ahead and just pop this right on top of your layer. Go ahead and just extend it to the entirety of your clip. And what we're going to do is go ahead and just copy and paste this lumimetry color on top of the layer here, and it's going to have all the same stuff. So what I want you to do is turn off basic correction, turn off creative, curves, color, and go ahead and just leave HSL. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and see this little box right here. It actually inverts the mask that we have. So if we go ahead and hit this again, we see what's selected. We go ahead and invert it. Now we see everything that was selected is now not selected. We actually flipped it. So this is really cool option that we have here, and what we're going to do is go ahead and let a little bit of contrast. So this original thing, go ahead and double click it to set it back to the center, and we're going to go ahead and put some teal in here, and you can just look at your scopes, and as you start putting some teal in here, you can see that you can actually put a significant amount into it, and just look how it's affecting your overall scope here. I'd say be very cautious with how much you put in here, because a little bit goes a long way. So once you go ahead and just have your little bit of contrast of your blue, you can see that we got some pop now. We got some teal happening in the background here, and we got a little bit of teal in his shadows and everything. So next, what you want to do is definitely bring down the shadows in that by coming into the shadows and pulling this down here. Now we can kind of wash out a little bit of that blue that's in the black, and we don't really want that there. To take this even further, to really make this look really popping, go ahead and come into your curves. Go ahead and reset your curve line here where it says Luma versus saturation. What we're going to do is go ahead and click here and bring this shadows down. So this actually affects the saturation in the shadows, and we want to go ahead and take out any saturation in the black. So that's why we're going to go ahead and create this line here. So this is definitely more of an advanced tip for you guys that you can look into when you come into your color grade. Now we're going to go on the very last step, and you can go ahead and actually create a new adjustment layer. I like to do that. Go ahead and just reset this entire thing. Come up here where it says basic correction. Come up here where it says creative, and what you're going to do is go ahead and add sharpening. Now depending on if it's 8-bit or 10-bit, if it's 8-bit, you're definitely going to want to put around 17 to 20%. If it's 10-bit, you're going to want to do around 10, maybe even as low as 8%. And you guys can refine this a little bit if you really don't like how poppin' the greens are. What you can do is come in here to your adjustment layer and come into your curves and actually just go ahead and desaturate that. So what I like to do is go ahead and put a notch on the left and a notch on the right between the green, and go ahead and just pull down your saturation in your green, wherever that may be. I think it's around here. And you can see that it just makes a significant difference. It really depends on what you want and what your image looks like, but that is how you're going to go ahead and just select specific colors to take out of the image. Alright guys, so I didn't tell you why I'm wearing a robe in this video. I really didn't feel like taking it off because first of all I was cold, but there was a story behind it. I really didn't feel like filming today, but I got the nerves to film. My roommate gave me $1 for a green tea, and so here I am filming this video because that was some motivation apparently for me. Anywho guys, that's how you're going to create a cinematic image in Adobe Premiere. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you guys on that ASAP. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out one of these two videos, because I promise you, you're going to learn something from one of those if you learn something from this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.